Okay, folks, I think we're ready to get going here. Yep, yes, we are. Okay, so we'll be doing a comparison of the functional area around customer payments, and that is the fifth webinar that we've hosted, trying to compare various functional application processes in Dynamics GP to those same application processes in Business Central. So today's session is going to be about customer payments, and we will basically, we'll go into Dynamics GP, we'll bring it into a cash receipts window, we'll talk a little bit about the window, we'll show you a cash receipt in there, and then we'll talk a little bit about the posting process. And then once we've completed that, we'll go into the Business Central window where we basically create the same transaction, and we'll talk a little bit about the transaction, the cash receipt, and then we'll talk a little bit about the posting process. So let's get right into the software so we can compare both of these functional areas. So like I said before, we're going to start in Business Dynamics GP. So for those of you who've been using Dynamics GP a while, these windows should look fairly familiar. I'm opening the standard cash receipt window in Dynamics GP, and it's a pretty straightforward window. You record a receipt number, you tell it what customer you want to make it against, and then you put in an amount and a checkbook ID and maybe the check number. And then you put in, once you have the amount in there, you can go into the apply window and you can say, yeah, I'm going to apply this $1,400 to this transaction right here, this invoice 3,000. So once you do that, you save it to a batch, and you basically be ready to go into the edit list and print an edit list, and you'd be ready to post the transaction at that point. And it would look something like this. It tells who the customer is, what the amount is, how much of the transaction is still to be applied, what the transaction applied on the bottom. And this is basically the standard Dynamics GP cash receipts edit list. So this process should look very familiar to you all, because this is something you've been in Dynamics GP a long time. You would have seen this window lots of times. The new part is this part about Business Central, and we want to go into the window where we accomplish this same goal. So I'm going to go into this window, deposits, and I'm going to bring up a transaction. Yeah, here we go. So we're basically performing the same type of transaction. Now the data is a little different because I don't have the same customers in this application as I do in GP. But let's stop for a moment and talk about what is Business Central. And I said this pretty much in each one of the webinars that we've had so far, is Business Central is a cloud-based application that takes away the need for any on-premise servers, network infrastructure, etc. It's totally browser-based in the cloud. So going back to the transaction here, this transaction's for $174.58, and it's going to be applied to this customer right here. And let's go into this record, some of the detail here, so we can see what's happening. So in the apply window, which just like Dynamics GP, when you get a payment, you have to apply it to something. So here I'm applying my check number 125 to this invoice, PS 103, INV 103070. And the original invoice was for $174.58, and that's what we're applying. And that's basically, that's how this window works. And you could, obviously the more cash receipts you have, the more you could do. The report that kind of generates as a result of making this transaction looks something like this. It's going to show you in the top what account it's going to go into, what date it's going to post, and then how much the amount is, and then who the customer that the transaction is being applied against. So while the transaction windows are very different in Business Central, functionally, they're not that much different. They're really performing the same goal of recording cash into the bank and applying it against the customer's previously posted invoices. So now, obviously, if you had any questions about anything you saw today, you can reach out to me at n@micro-force.com. And I just want to thank everyone for the time today, and hopefully we'll be talking to you soon. Thanks a lot.